5P with LaMondre is being brought to you by Rue Global Impact. Rue Global Impact is a multifaceted disability inclusion consulting firm that amplifies the impact of your disability inclusion efforts and helps to establish you as an inclusion leader in your industry. So if you're just starting out on your disability inclusion journey, or if you've been doing this thing for a while and you need some support, contact Rue Global Impact. That's rueglobal.com. RUHglobal.com. So today on 5P, we are focusing on SDG number 2, and that is to eradicate hunger. Let's get it.
Cool.
Welcome to 5P with LaMondre, the podcast that's all about the 5 Ps. People, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. If you're looking to be encouraged, inspired, and challenged, then this is the podcast for you. Here's your host, LaMondre.
Welcome to 5P. I am your host, LaMondre, and I've got an exciting show in store for you today. I've got someone who I have known literally my entire life. I cannot remember my life without him being in it. He is the owner of Ashford Family Farms, LLC. He is the founder of the Urban Farming Project. And ultimately, he is my first friend. I'm his second friend. He is my first friend. Please welcome Dexter Ashford.
And straighten that out, bub. You're my second friend because I met your big sister at the fence first. She came up to the fence first and you came over second. So that's how we did. Same day.
That's exactly how it happened.
A few minutes apart, same day.
Literally, I cannot remember my life without Dexter being in it. And I want you to realize something. If you hear him call me Bub, that's because my nickname is Bubba.
Did I just say Bub?
You did. You did. You just said Bub, but it's okay.
I didn't know his real name until we started school. That's how far back we go. We were like pre-elementary school. I didn't know the boy had another name other than Bubba. So that's what we called him.
Yeah, and the truth is that's how I identify where people know me from in my life. If they say Bubba, I knew that this is family or a close childhood friend. If they say Tehran, okay, this was like elementary, middle school, high school. If they say LaMondre, this is college business world. So this is how I identify people. So when you hear Bub, not only was this someone who was close to me that I've known for a very long time, this is somebody who is really, really close to me. But the reason that I wanted to have you on the show, Dexter, is because you are doing something I think that's amazing. You are noted as the urban farmer, and you created the Urban Farming Project. And, of course, this is about hunger and eradicating hunger. Tell me about the Urban Farming Project and why you do what you do.
The Urban Farming Project, to me, is an extension of a gift. I have always grown stuff. I grew up with my mother growing plants. I learned to grow stuff from my mom because she always grew plants. And even in times when I was stressed, when I had a job and I would really be stressed, I would plant something and I'd go sit on the porch and watch stuff grow. Even if I only had one pot, which, by the way, you can do that. You can have a single pot garden. You can have a terrace garden. I would just watch stuff grow, and that's how I relaxed. I've always loved doing it. As I got a little older, and I realized, life is too short to go to work and do stuff you don't like every day. I want to focus on some stuff I like. I want to focus on things that are easier for me to do and come naturally. And at this point in time, there became a need for what I did. Right now, everybody's looking for organics and fresh food, and everybody wants to eat better. And when you look at, I'll use vaping, for instance. Now vaping is a problem. People wanted to smoke. Okay, you want to cut smoking short. You want to vape. Vaping has caused some problems. Everybody's looking for a shortcut, and I think a lot of the issues that we have as far as physical deficiencies in our food or things that cause illness to us are born from the food we eat.
Right.
So now's a good time to eat cleaner.
Right.
Now's a good time to grow your own food. So one of the things I wanted to do was show folks how simple that is. And then provide food in a community where it's not as accessible. I realized this year, I started to do something about it this year, where I actually did a urban farmers market, Urban Farming Project farmers market, where I would go into the 29203 zip code here in Columbia, South Carolina. And I chose that zip code because a lot of folks don't realize The 29203 zip code has the highest amputee rate per capita in the country. I didn't say state. I didn't say region. I didn't say this section of the country, the entire country. That zip code has the highest amputee rate in the entire country. And a lot of that is due to preventable diseases, is how we eat. And some of it's habit. We've always eaten collard greens with fatback in it.
Right.
Well, you can use some smoked turkey to change that. So one of the extensions I would love to do is provide a healthy cooking facility where you can teach people to cook, but you can provide that fresh food for folks, cooked by a professional chef who can cook a tasty meal that's healthy.
Right.
Preferably from stuff that's homegrown, locally grown, maybe even grown in the community garden that I'd also like to have attached to the association, to that project.
Right.
I would love to have animals that we actually raise so that we know that we didn't give those animals any antibiotics. We didn't give the animals any growth hormones. That we have perfectly natural animals. Maybe they take longer to grow out, but they're better for you because we didn't give them anything, so you aren't putting that stuff in there. I look at communities where historically, economically deficient, and they're largely black communities.
Right.
And you notice you always see a certain type of restaurant in there. Church's Chicken. Church's is probably the worst offender for hormone chicken. And now go look at the kids in the area near churches, and you notice that the children develop a lot faster physically. That's because they put a growth hormone in the chicken, and the babies eat the chicken. So guess who's getting the growth hormone? Right. Our kids are developing much faster than they ever should. And that's because you are what you eat.
Right.
You eat a growth hormone, and if you've got cancer, guess what now gets the growth hormone?
That
because
cancer
you passed it on.
Right.
Cancer, there are a lot of organic things that affect cancer. I did some research. I am also a licensed hemp grower here in the state of South Carolina. And I'll be coming out with a hemp line. I haven't come out with it yet, so I won't say what it is. But I'll be coming out with the hemp line, and there are some things that I'm going to combine my hemp with. If you look at the CBD has a myriad of positive effects on your body. Now combine that with some other things like black seed oil, black maca, ginseng, reishi mushroom. I used to grow mushrooms. Mm-hmm. Mushrooms are very good for you. Those are also cancer fighters. There are mushrooms that are good neural protectors, which means that they help protect the neural system. Like lion's mane is a good one. I think black maca is also another neural protector. I forget the exact word for it, but what it does is help protect the nervous system. So there are a couple different combinations that I'm going to use in combination with what I'm doing.
And see, all of these things are things that you came about through your farming and just being almost a naturalist in the sense of what it actually provides. But there was something that you said that really stood out to me when you started talking about the 29203 area code and the fact that this area code in Columbia, South Carolina, has the highest rate of amputees in the country. And honestly, if you ride through the neighborhoods, you'll see dialysis clinics all over the place. You'll see these kinds of things in this area. But what you don't see is you don't see very many grocery stores. What you don't see are really health encouraging facilities out there. And you have done something that really was one of the main reasons I wanted to speak to you about this. You said that I'm going to start doing a farmer's market in this area because this area is known as a food desert. First of all, can you explain what a food desert is?
Yes. Food desert is any place, if it's rural, you're more than 10 miles from a grocery store. If it's urban, you're more than 1 mile from a fresh food provider. Right. Which means that they have to be able to provide fresh vegetables. Right. And if you're 10 miles rural, 1 mile suburban, you are in the middle of a food desert.
Right. And so for people to understand what that actually means, what are the ramifications? Because I know a lot of times people think, okay, so you're a mile away from a grocery store. But what that means in many communities is that some people don't have adequate transportation to get them back and forth. So what ends up happening is they end up going into a convenience store who may not have who 9 times out of 10 does not have fresh produce. But what they'll have is they'll have something that's been highly preserved and highly processed, and the prices are jacked up to the roof. So what happens is this becomes a norm of the way people eat, as opposed to fresh produce, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. And so what ends up happening is there is a cyclical system that happens where the health rates are bad. There is a direct correlation between diabetes and the food that's available to people in the areas. And what are some of the other things that you see that inadequate nutrition causes a community to experience?
The health problems cause financial problems. And I'm a big proponent of it. This is up and down the age scale, whether it's old people or young kids. Mention the young kids that are eating the chicken and growing and developing too fast. You've got older people who have diseases that don't get better. Your treatment for a simple disease, and I say simple, a disease to the person that has it is not simple.
Right.
But one of the simple cures for it would be eat better, move more. Instead, you get people accustomed to go get another pill.
Right.
Blood pressure goes up. You don't exercise. You're pre-diabetic. You don't stop eating bad food. You don't stop eating the starches. You take a pill. And then the pill leads to a shot. And then that shot leads you to, with diabetes, I think that's the kidney failure one. High blood pressure medicine is also the kidney failure one. A lot of very young people in dialysis right now because of high blood pressure medicine.
Wow.
High blood pressure medicine is a beast.
Yeah.
And I look at it, I don't understand how they have not been sued out of business. Because when you go in there, the common factor that I've talked to when I look at young people that just, if you look at them, you wouldn't know, but they're having kidney failure, it's the medication they took that shut them down. Now, some folks, it might be organic. Some folks, you may have had a hereditary problem, but a lot of folks that I've seen, it's medication that you're taking, that high blood pressure medicine. I had a cousin like that who passed away. We ended up burying him. He's younger than I am. It was the pills he was taking. He had kidney failure.
Wow.
So that's a big thing. And I'll tell you that one of the bigger factors I see is economics. Another reason that's not mentioned a lot, but the reason I started the farmers market was to develop businesses in our community. Mm-hmm. My goal was to have a whole lot of vendors come in and vend, and we begin to pass around the dollar in our community. So if I've got somebody over here who needs a product and I provide the product, they buy it from me, so you don't go out of the community, and then I need another product and I buy it from you. So instead of our money staying in our community for max 6 hours, our money might circulate within our community and we build up our community. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921, we called it Black Wall Street, where they had black banks, and they were forced to do business with each other. And I'm going to say something very controversial, Bub. You've been knowing me for a while, so you know I do not shy away from controversy. I will say it.
Okay.
I'm going to say something very controversial. I've heard a lot of folks say probably the worst thing that happened to us as a race was desegregation. Mm-hmm. Because when we were desegregated, that means now we felt like it was a privilege to go to Crest and not be able to sit at their counter, but give them our money, and they hand us food and tell us we can't even sit on their counter. So we felt as if it was a privilege to go into stores where they watched us. They followed us around as if we were going to steal from them, whether we did or not, as if we were going to steal from them, and we acted like it was a privilege to give them our money when they treated us bad. Right. As opposed to maintaining the stores that we had in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the banks that we had. I mean, we had banks, we had everything. But in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had banks that white people came to get money from. Right. So I think we've lost that sense of community. We've lost that sense of togetherness. And our strongest asset is our unity, whether we know that or not. If we begin to build together, if we drive this economy with debt, we'll go into debt buying tennis shoes for our kids that were made in Korea, and the shoes worth $5, but you paying $200. Right. Silly stuff. Right. So if we took our money and we actually decided, okay, if we had to buy shoes, sorry about that. If we had to buy shoes, let's buy one from somebody who made the shoe who's from our community. Right. If we've got to buy products, buy from each other. Keep that money in there. And once we begin to get the money, what happens is the more money you have, usually the better health care you can get. So if you need to bring the grocery store in, bring a grocery store in, develop a farmer's market, eat better, get better health care, try to get off those pills, exercise.
And see, that's one of the points that I really wanted to get to as well, because one of the things I started thinking about in terms of food deserts and in terms of what that actually means from a broader scale, because it's not just about nutrition. As you said, it usually stems from an economic perspective. A lot of times people expect either business or the government to solve these problems. And I am of the firm belief that it takes all of us. It takes every single one of us pulling together to do our part to make these things happen. So it's not just business by itself, because here's the thing. Grocery stores, particularly, are businesses that it's hard to make money in, for the most part. And honestly, this is an evolving industry, and it's evolving almost on a daily basis. Grocery stores don't know what they're going to look like 5 years from now. They have no idea. So what they tend to do is they tend to look at areas and communities in which they have the best outcome as far as the profit margins and the monies that they can make.
The disposable income in that community.
And typically, those are in more suburban areas.
More affluent areas,
at least middle to upper middle class. So that's not happening in 29203. These communities and communities like this across the nation are honestly left out of the loop. So what you end up seeing is convenience stores, you end up seeing liquor stores, you end up seeing gas stations, you end up seeing these kinds of things which don't carry fresh produce.
Yeah, you look at the businesses that spark up around us. I'm going to tell you something. It is very expensive to be poor.
Oh, absolutely.
They have the check cashing places. You go get a loan from them and see how much you pay back before you actually finish paying for that loan. The interest rates to get a car, the interest rates on your credit card, it is very expensive. And then once you begin to be late on some things, now they can lower your credit score, which they begin to jack up your interest rate based on your credit score. So your credit score becomes your new Jim Crow.
Right.
Because if you're already behind, then you go and you fall behind making payments, you're going to fall farther behind. Which means your credit score is going to go high. So it's going to cost you more to do basic things.
Right.
We've got to look at that. The credit score industry, to me, is a rip. It is completely backwards to what was common sense taught when I was coming up. You want to be out of debt, as much debt as you can. There was a theory that, there's some good debt. If you have a business, you want to be able to take that debt off and write that debt off on your taxes. I don't know. I'm not going to argue that either way. Sam Walton didn't have any debt. When Sam Walton created Walmart, Sam Walton had a store. He did not own anything in. He made profit off, and Walmart right now will tell people, okay, you can put your product in here. We're going to pay you X amount on the dollar. They're going to cut that to a minimum amount that they're going to pay them. And we're going to pay you 3 months down the road. Now, everybody else, Coca-Cola sells their product too, meaning you got to buy that bottle before it gets there. The company has to pay them for that bottle, and then, well, good luck selling it. We'll reimburse whatever messes up, but good luck selling it. In Walmart tells Coca-Cola, hey, you can leave your stuff in our store if you want. If you don't, we'll let Pepsi fill your space. Pepsi will fill your shelf space. Walmart will leave that in there and get a check later.
Right.
Coca-Cola will leave that in Walmart and get a check later. And they're the only ones that do that. When you look at how things are structured, Walmart doesn't have debt. Why do you?
Right.
Walmart doesn't even own the building they're in. Walmart leases their buildings. Well, they did earlier when I was looking at it. They may buy a few now, but I really don't think they changed that model much. Walmart doesn't have debt, but you do. And if you get rid of your debt, even if they tell you, well, the more debt you have, you can make payments and you can show your credit history. What they're saying is you literally have to pay interest to somebody in order to improve this score we're going to give you. We're going to give you a score if you pay interest to these people. By the way, the businesses that you're paying interest to are directly in business with the credit score company. They are literally doing business with each other. So they say, yeah, well, you get them to pay us some more interest, and then we'll keep paying you to run this game on them. It's a scam, guys.
Well, and I think one of the things that I'm hearing is really understanding the financial systems and understanding that, marketing is amazing. Marketing will literally change the way you see morality. Marketing does that because you're right. I remember when I was growing up, my grandfather's thing was don't owe anybody anything. My grandfather's whole thing was, listen, if you really want to get ahead in life, don't owe anybody anything. Own your own. Yep. And that was his mantra. That's what he put out there. But now we are an economy that is driven by debt. Now, here's the interesting thing, because, when we talk about this whole concept of hunger and food deserts, the thing we realize is that people try to trivialize or they diminish the cause of these health problems that we talked about before. They'll say, well, no, what happens is it's because of obesity. That's why you're diabetic, or that's why these things happen. And so if you would just exercise and take better care of yourself, make better choices, then you would be healthier. And there is some truth to that. However, what happens when I don't have a choice? When my choice is that I can't get to a grocery store, I don't have a car, so the only thing that it is in walking distance to me is the Sunoco or the gas station at the corner, and what they've got are beanie weenies. What they've got is ramen noodles that I can get 1 million of them for $1, and all I've got is $1, but I got 20 days left in the month.
And I'm hungry right now.
And my kids are hungry.
Right. So what them kids gonna eat?
Ramen noodles. Absolutely. Exactly. High in sodium, all of those things. So it's not so much it's not as simple. It's not as simple of just make better food choices, especially when someone tells you that, okay, here is an organic tomato.
$5.
That you're paying $5 for, but no. Believe me, and I get the philosophy. I get when people say, well, if you pay more now, you won't have to pay more in the future. But all I've got is $1.
Here's my solution to that, and it's a realistic one, but it takes involvement. But it's something that's doable. I do backyard gardening. I've got pictures of my garden on Facebook. Now, I got a lot of stuff on my Facebook page. I'm political. I will say a lot of things. So if you're going to be offended by
definitely controversial.
If you're going to be offended by that, don't go to my page.
Oh, let me say this. The views of Dexter Ashford are Dexter Ashford's alone, okay?
Yeah, let them know. Let them know. Everybody does not feel the same way I do. I have some strong opinions on that. I am very much pro-economic development in my community. Very much pro-economic development. And I'm pro people that will help us do that. So the candidates I support have talked about economic development in the black community, and they want to help that. If not, I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
If you're not talking about that, you're not talking any sense to me. Simple things to do. Backyard gardening. Very simple. I built grow beds for people, put the dirt in and put the plants in. It is fun to do. It's fun to watch this stuff. And I literally this summer have produced more food than I'm going to eat. I mean, I produced a lot of tomatoes. I've never even eaten eggplant. I grew eggplants, and they grew. Cucumbers, I don't eat cucumbers. Okra, I don't eat okra. And that's sad. I know I grow this stuff. I don't eat all of those vegetables. I'm growing collard greens next. I have some mustards out there. I do eat those.
We gonna need to elevate your palate, brother.
You got to, man, because I do not. Some of that stuff I just cannot get with, but I grow it because other people that I know like it.
Right.
Tomatoes. I've got yams. It's my first year growing sweet potatoes. So I've got some sweet potatoes growing out there now. Hot peppers. Good Lord. If you need hot peppers, let me know. I got plenty. So there's simple things you can do. And the fun part, guys, this can be a great put hands on, watch it and learn and have fun type of science project, home science project for your kids. What I didn't realize, and I found out because I looked in the trash one time and I saw it growing. You can take the stalks from a collard green and it will grow again. If you sit it in a little bit of water, it'll sprout again and grow. You can plant it in the dirt and it'll start growing leaves again. Same thing with lettuce. Same thing with onions. If you chop the bottom of the onion off, it will grow. If you chop the bottom of the onion off where the roots were, put it in a little bit of water, let the roots sprout out, and then plant it on the ground right on the top, you can grow food from your scrap food. So you really should never be without it. You can take the seeds from a bell pepper. Now, if you get a green bell pepper, that plant's not mature yet. those seeds may not mature. If you get a colored bell pepper, here's a news bulletin for everybody. Every bell pepper has a color. If you're eating a green bell pepper, it is not mature yet. If you let that green bell pepper stay on the vine and mature, it will turn a color, whether it be a orange, yellow, red. I've grown lavenders. I had a lady who I built a hydroponic garden for, grew whites, black. So you can have black, lavender, red, yellow. A lot of different colored bell peppers, but they turn colors when they're mature. If you're eating the green one, I don't know if you can plant those seeds, but there are some really interesting science projects, the type things that I'm going to be doing for a festival, the Gullah Geechee Festival on the 26th of October. I'll be doing the Gullah Geechee Festival with Maryland Hemingway in Williamsburg County. And I'm going to bring some of those things. And
that's here in South Carolina.
Yes, South Carolina, Williamsburg County. I'm going to be bringing a couple of those things. I'm going to chop off some vegetables and just let them grow. And then I'm going to just take pictures of them before I grew them, and then take pictures of what they're doing now. So people can see it's not a difficult thing to grow these things.
Right.
You can eat healthy, and it's not hard. It's actually kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. That's one of the things I want to talk about. I want to talk about farming in urban areas and growing your own food. Where does someone get started? How do I start that? I mean, I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment and I can grow my own food.
It does not take space. I'm looking at some of you have plants. If you have enough space to have a plant, you have enough space to have a garden. Okay. You can grow a tomato. Tomatoes are a plant. You can grow tomatoes. You can grow your lettuce. You can grow why can't I think of the name of them now? The black things I just said I grew, but I never tried one.
Oh, eggplants.
Eggplant. You grow eggplants, yeah. Whatever it is, you can actually grow it at home. Corn probably has about one of the deepest rooting systems. It needs about 18 inches of dirt. So if you got 18 inches of plowed dirt that the taproot on a corn stalk can grow down into, you can grow corn. Shallow root plants and deep root plants. Just depends on what you want to grow. Bell peppers, all of that stuff you can actually grow in pots.
So if someone wanted to get started, what would they need to get started growing their own food in their home?
I would tell you to go to a big box store, get a bag of gardening dirt, a couple bags of gardening dirt. Get some deep pots, maybe 12-inch pots, just in case the plant root needs depth. Fill your pots up to, I'd say go ahead and fill it up to the top. Get your plant in there. You're going to spill some of that dirt, so put something under it so you can reclaim your dirt. I'm cheap. I'm not going to waste dirt. I'm not throwing this dirt, but I ain't throwing it away.
You are truly dirt cheap, huh?
I am dirt cheap, bro. I paid for that bag of dirt. All of that's going on a plant.
Gotcha.
So you're going to spill some of that dirt. Put your plant in it. You can put it on your front porch. Make sure there's a nice sunny spot, that it gets some sunlight. You want to get 6 to 8 hours of sunlight, usually at least. In the winter months, if you're going to have a plant outside, make sure there's a hardy plant. Greens grow well in the winter months. Greens and lettuce do well in the cool. In the summertime, in the winter, if you're trying to grow a tomato, good luck to you. You're going to have a heated area that the plant can get adequate light.
Right.
So you want to look at seasonal plant growth, because most folks aren't going to specialize the way that I would. So you want to look at seasonal growth, collard greens. There's kind of shallow root plants. You can grow those in a box. So there are a variety of things that you can do to really make it kind of simple to grow. You can get garden trays. If it's something that will hold dirt, I saw a guy fill a tire, the inside of a tire, with dirt, and he put his plants in there.
My grandfather used to do that.
Yeah. Fill the tire with dirt and put your plant. And once you put the plants in there, because the plants really aren't going to be eaten from that tire, they're going to get their nutrients from the dirt. So you should be okay with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all what you need is a container, some healthy dirt. You may need to put some additives in the dirt to make the plants grow. Watch the pests. If it's summertime, you can get some stuff called diatomaceous earth. And it's really good about killing pests, and it's organic. You can actually eat the stuff, but it will kill pests.
Wow.
You can also put it on your dog and kill fleas. You can feed it to your dog and kill internal parasites.
Wow.
Diatomaceous earth, DE is what it's called.
Now, this is really interesting, because I know, especially people in my generation, most of the time we don't even think about gardening. We don't think about growing our own foods. Now, things have changed because people are becoming more conscious of these kinds of things, and particularly because we are talking about food deserts and nutrition and really taking control of your own nutritional issues. I'm just thinking in terms of, okay, so now how do we get this message out, and how do we train people, particularly in lower income areas where food deserts are an issue, to do this themselves? I think it's great that you did the farmers market, and I think it's wonderful that those kinds of things are happening, and I commend you for that. But I'm also thinking in terms of what can someone do at home, and is there a particular system that's in place that will help a person become more adequate?
Couple things. Glad you asked that question. There are a couple things. You made me think about some stuff that I hadn't thought about. I actually did a planting day in the 29203 area. That's the really high amputee rate area. Did a planting day for a couple communities. In those communities, I ended up serving them with the farmers market. One was a retirement home community where people did not have cars. It was a low-income retirement home community. They didn't have cars, so they didn't have transportation, and the closest thing to them was the Dollar General. So I would come over there on Tuesdays and bring fresh food, and you have to schedule it around folks because it's one of those areas where they're going to have money on the first of the month. So first of the month is when you need to be there.
Right.
First, second week of the month, third week, it's going to slow down. Fourth week, you can take the week off because they're trying to get to the end of the month.
Right.
That's just reality. Looking at that, I actually have 2 grant applications in the works. One is with the university here in South Carolina, not the University of South Carolina, a university here in South Carolina. Where we're trying to build a hydroponic greenhouse, and I'll be teaching hydroponics to the college students as well as the community in the area, as well as some of the high school students. They're going to use it as a recruiting tool for the university.
Fantastic.
Also have another grant that I partner with a 501c3 here in Columbia. We're going to be trying to do another greenhouse here, another hydroponic house. We're going to be doing a deep root system hydroponic house here, growing tomatoes. I currently have a hydroponic greenhouse where I grow tomatoes. I actually built that system. Next system is going to be more commercial. It's going to be a longer greenhouse. So I'm going to order that system. But I actually built my first hydroponic system. And if you go on my webpage, go way, way down, get past all the political stuff, the impolite stuff you might not want to talk about. You go way, way back. You can see the pictures of the greenhouse and the hydroponic system that I built. So getting it out there, trying to get into the community, the one really good way that we have to solve this problem is to get folks, just regular folks, to go into the community and provide that for them. And at the same time, you've got to realize that there has to be some compensation for somebody doing that with their time.
Right.
It's hard to maintain a business that doesn't make money. You're not going to stay in business long.
It's not going to be a business.
Yeah, it's one thing to do it voluntarily if that's what you want to do. If you want to do this as a volunteer thing, you're serious about it, and you can make a commitment to it. But respect those folks that are actually trying to make a living at it. We've got farmers who want to make a living farming. They want to do it. They don't want to give up the old ways. They don't want to be totally dependent on somebody else providing their food. They know the value of fresh food, but it's hard for them to stay in business if you don't buy it from them.
Right.
So you got to spend that money. You've got to spend locally to keep them there for you. Otherwise, they're going to disappear like the dinosaur. So
right. Dexter, I really appreciate the time that you've taken today. And I'll tell you, one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on the show was so that we could talk about urban farming, we could talk about food deserts, but I really wanted to talk about some of the underlying elements of that. And we did that. And, it's not always that the conversations that we have that everything is, I agree with you 1,000%. But here's the thing. It's about having the dialogue. It's about having the conversations. And sometimes the conversations are tough conversations, but they're necessary because there's no way that I can move forward turning a blind eye to this part over here that's infected. Can't do that. So we have to have those conversations. And you have always been one of the people that I know we would have that conversation, whether we agreed or not. And the other part of that is we've got to get back to a place of civility that we can disagree and still be like, okay, what you want to eat?
I got to work on that. I usually want to fight you after I'm disagreeing.
See, look, okay, all right. Well, we did. See, and we all have something to overcome. Dexter wants to fight if we disagree. He's playing. He is not that. Don't believe that.
Don't believe that at all. When we disagree.
That is too funny. That is too funny. But no, man, seriously, I really appreciate the candor. I really appreciate your insight and your willingness to share. Tell people how they can get in contact with you, man.
If you hit me up on Facebook at Dexter Ashford, Instagram at Urban Farming Project 365, you can see a little bit of what I do. And I'll be letting you know a little bit more about the grants on those spots. It's Dexter Ashford on Facebook. I have the Urban Farming Project on Facebook, but honestly, I kind of neglect that page. So you might want to go to my homepage and get all that extra political stuff you really didn't sign up for. Because that's probably where I'm going to let everybody know what's going on with the grants, should we get them, what's going on in the community, what we're doing. And I have a new product launch on some other stuff that I'm doing. So that is the area where you'll find it. I look forward to chatting with you.
Dexter, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. Please reach out to him. And that's it. That's about all the time that we have today for 5P with LaMondre. As always, I am LaMondre Pugh, reminding you that today is the perfect day to be the change that you want to see. Live big, live full, live authentic. God bless.